going to put the key in. Okay. She did come to life. Nope. Come on. Good compression. Okay, so it is making a noise.
Hello and welcome to the shop. I'm Jared and this is the Questionable Garage. And I'm standing in front of, that thing there, a very questionable Christmas gift. I hope you all have had a wonderful Christmas. This is a 1986 Porsche 944. Manual transmission. It has the turbo side skirts. It has some absolutely amazing forge line wheels from what we can kind of figure out from history. Essentially the first set of them. And by Installations Plus, it's got a host of amazing period electronics installed in this thing. Now, it does look a little rough, but if you believe it, it looked a whole lot worse when it first showed up, but we went ahead and gave it a bath before even bringing it into the shop, because sometimes, like the Ford Probe should have gotten just, dipped in acid before it ever came in the shop. Things are too dirty to come in here. But yes, this is a Christmas present. Not for my wife. I mentioned the idea of a Porsche for Christmas, and the fix and flip Porsche is the one she's trying to get her hands on, which I don't blame her. But this is a car with a very special story. I love stories. I love the history of automobiles. That's where VinWiki is really cool. You get people telling all the different stories on the channel, and you get to learn a lot about the story of the automobile. Because, yes, to many, many, many people, these are soulless appliances. They are just an object to get you where you need to go. But for a lot of us, this appliance makes the journey basically the destination. The trip becomes part of where you're going, and we enjoy it and we love it, and they become family members. And the story of this car is really special because our friend, Travis Bell, who sent the Ferrari truck, the ambulance, his really good friend, Phil, basically, Travis credits Phil with more or less saving his life.
Now, let me explain what's going on. My friend, Phil Blake, he passed away last year. Now, Phil was my mentor. He taught me 12 volts, taught me everything under the sun, and basically taught me how to be a good human being. And so when he passed away, he had no children, and we were left with myself, his stepdaughter, and his nephew on what to do with his cars. Now, he has a 633 BMW, he had a slingshot, a couple other things, a trailer that's back over there, and then this Porsche 944 and Dave. Well, he didn't have Dave. But needless to say, the 944 is an amazing car. It was Phil's baby. I think he quit driving it in 2017, not only because of his health, but because I think the air conditioning went out or the cruise control. Not real sure. But it's on its way to Georgia to find a bigger and better life, and hopefully I won't cry about it. But it's sad to see it go, but I'm glad it's going.
Enter me. I saw it, and I had no need for it, but I figured I could get it running again. I could save it. So we worked out a deal quicker than somebody else who needed it could reach out and work out a deal. We'll introduce him just a little bit later and where this car is going to go to an incredibly loved home. It's someone that the person who is getting it has asked me about this car and what my plans were. So it's got the loved home to go. We've got footage of us getting it cleaned up, and we've got some footage of trying to get this thing running. So let's get to work making this thing the perfect Christmas present. Well, hello, I have invaders.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Taylor. Hello, Jacob. Hey, you don't have to do a bunch of work this time.
I just get to ride in the passenger seat of Taylor's truck and look pretty.
I'm doing the exact same amount of work I did last time.
Showing up. So this is your first time seeing the Christmas present which you're going all in on for your wife's Christmas.
Yeah, basically, she gave me a big list of stuff that she wants, which is generally the best way to go for all women, for if you're wondering. And I've decided to pretty much forego that entire list and just get her this instead.
This beautiful car. But that's not like a totally dangerous decision, because when our friend Travis posted this, I basically worked out the deal first, and then both Travis and Taylor reached out to me because someone in your life was like, hey, Taylor, get that for me. And then you had to tell her you were too slow.
Yeah, my wife is in love with these cars. I've worked for Porsche before, but was never really like the biggest Porsche guy before that. When I worked for them, I developed a affinity for them for sure. And Tamarah's always loved this because of 16 Candles and some other things, and just really...
I had to educate you on 16 Candles.
You did. I had never seen it before, so... obviously a really great car. Travis and his whole story behind this is really cool. So, of course, big shout out to Travis and a huge appreciation for him and his connection to this whole piece of it. And now you've got to the daunting task of making this thing pretty.
Yeah, which it's wet enough that you can kind of not really see it all.
If you clean a spot, you can see it's actually red underneath.
It's off. But, Taylor, you would say you're really liking the car there?
Yeah, the wheels really make it. I mean, this
Oh,
thing's...
no, I was making an awful joke pointing at the moss.
Oh,
And the actual lichen.
I thought you were looking at the wheels, because the wheels are
Oh, no,
pretty cool.
the wheels are amazing. But yeah.
No, I mean, obviously, I have an affinity for old busted pieces of garbage. So this doesn't even really quite fit the mold for as bad of a car as I usually go
Right.
after. This is
Or even Jacob, or...
this
Yeah,
is
we're
really
used
too
to
good for
100
any of
miles
us,
garbage.
even at this state. So the fact that we're going to consider giving this to my wife means that the jump off point is probably a lot higher, which it is here. And this is going to be a pretty nice car when this is all said and done.
Oh, yeah, it was well taken care of. It's got a lot of really cool stuff. Like, you got an old school Sirius XM antenna, old phone mount, like everything that's not really used. Is that a police scanner?
Fire, news,
It kinda looks like
highway, yeah, state. Yeah, I'm going to say this was, yeah, it's a Uniden.
That's the police.
Yeah, Bear
Is
Tracker
that-
800. And yeah,
Let's play. Is that Pepsi, urine, or gasoline?
I think that might be TT.
I don't want to
Well,
open it
listen.
and smell it.
Hey.
I'm just going to throw it
a,
straight
poli-
in
a
the trash.
police scanner and a pee bottle.
this seems like Cannonball to me. You got a police scanner and you got a bottle of pee. Like, if it quacks like a duck.
I don't know what
The
to do with
dumpster's
it.
over there.
Yeah, we're going there with that. We're not even going to open it and find out.
So you're not absolutely panicked at your first look of the car.
No, I'm actually pretty relieved. I mean, it's a 40-year-old car, basically. I mean, it's, 38 or 39 years old in reality, but
Yeah.
it's obviously been well taken care of throughout its life, even though maybe in the last few years it's gotten some neglect. For the majority of its life, it's been taken care of well, or it wouldn't still be like it is right now.
Yeah.
So
There's a few dents and dings. It needs a windshield, but our biggest goal is to get it clean, make sure that power plant is nice and good, and then finally, your wife will quit asking me what I'm doing with the car.
yeah, the goal is to be able to do a Christmas Day test drive at least, and then we can kind of work through the last little things after that. But if it can be something that's worthy of having a big red bow on it and be able to fire it up and take it down the road, that's what we're after.
Is that the missing hood emblem? Score!
Look at that. We were talking about that the other day.
That you just... So, do you walk her out to the car, or do you put that and a key in a ring box?
I'm going to walk her out to the car because she's going to have absolutely no idea that this is happening. I've told very, very few people that this... In fact, at this point, I don't know that it goes beyond the 3 people standing here of people that know that this is happening.
That and Travis. So it is a very small group of folks.
I'm
but
very afraid that the secret will get out if it gets to more than that, but
just by accident.
I'm going to make my wife mad one more time before this happens, because I'm going to have to figure out a way to get up here like on Christmas Eve or the day before. So I'm just going to say, hey, I'm going to buy a car. And she's going to be like, why are you going to buy another car?
Let's get you loaded up. I have got a lot of cleaning to go because we are like just barely a week away.
Yeah, it's going to go fast. So looking forward to seeing the transformation come to life. And I can't wait to see her face. positively or negatively. I'm sure she's gonna love it, but I feel like I'm gonna do her solid on this one. So sorry I didn't get all your Christmas presents tomorrow.
Well, okay, let us go inside and look. With it opened up, surprisingly, it doesn't smell. That's a couple in a row that don't stink, despite it having a lot of stuff in a few water leaks here and there. But in the back, we have got a DVD changer. What's interesting is almost everything in here is the Rawson brand. I don't know older audio stuff, but I'm going to assume that's high end. Is there a lock button? I wanted to see what DVDs we had in here. Open. Oh, okay. That's a mystery for another time. We have a Porsche toolkit. We've got a very interesting modified channel lock screwdriver. We have got antennas everywhere. You can tell this guy did a lot of 12-volt work. JBL's in the back, actually mounted in a good spot for kicking audio around. And one thing that was interesting is I saw a bunch of business cards for drone services. So he had a few times where we didn't have accident avoidance yet in our drones, and it maybe, hit the ground. We have got a rack mount. What is this? Crown? Power bridge? Volt thermal? Oh, is this just a big old rack amplifier? I think this is a processor. I don't think this goes in a car, but it looks like a pretty powerful amp setup. We've got a Porsche air pump, another antenna. So you had XM antennas and Sirius antennas. Now for you young folk that don't know satellite radio, honestly, most of you probably are just Bluetoothing and Apple CarPlaying. But we used to have a radio called terrestrial radio, where you had to have an antenna and you had little local radio stations that transmitted your music and things like that. Lots of advertisements. Then came along a subscription service called Sirius or XM satellite radio. They're two different companies where they launched up satellites and you would get your music from the sky almost anywhere. There were times you'd sometimes lose signal, and then they merged, became Sirius XM. So this was made in the time that you needed to have both antennas in order to utilize the services. And of course, we have the insurance rear seat. If you didn't know, pretty much any of these 2+2 cars, that's not meant for a human to sit back there at all. That's meant to claim. This is a red sports car with 4 seats, therefore it's not as fast as a red sports car with 2 seats and save you money on the insurance. That's what they claim. But we climb in here, and it's a fairly intact car. We got 155,981 miles. She is a non-turbo. The dash has one small crack. Windshield has one crack in it. Our sun visor retainer is sadly broken. This is what makes it really fun. We got a manual gear shift. We've got ourselves a cell phone mount. Is that an old Nokia, I think? I'm going to double check. I'm probably going to pull this out because it's mostly just in the way. There used to be a car alarm of some sorts. That's not there anymore, which is for the better, if I do say so. I mean, this was his showcase car. He wanted to show all the things you could come and have installed in your car. Like what we discovered with Taylor, the police scanner. We got the flip-up head unit. Oh, it's alive. It's open. Hey, we got static at least. I can't remember the local radio stations. Well, I guess we don't have... Ooh, we got a little bit of audio feedback. Is there a disc back there? Alright, I don't know if there's discs, but it pushes buttons, it does things. It's cool. Hey! That comes on too. You're not closed all the way, buddy. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That's closed for now, I guess. But yeah, other than that, it is a pretty decent interior. We've got more wiring. We've got a lot of remote controls for things. At least the rear seat's attractive. And... come on. I had you open before. There we go. That is the most storage space I have ever seen in a center armrest. You can fit at least 40 cents in there. But they do make up for that over here in probably the most cavernous glove box I have ever seen. They might be hiding the Ark of the Covenant in there. That is huge. But talking about the interior, it's not going to make this thing run, and it is not going to get the maintenance done, and it certainly is not going to make it look good. So let's figure out, get this thing started and running, and then make sure, you know, it can be a Christmas present, and then we'll get started on all the maintenance it needs from sitting, and then buffing. Lots of buffing. This is single stage paint. Hopefully we can get a little bit of polish back into it. That's the goal. So, without further ado, let's get to work. All right. Hopefully the battery's got a charge. We've got fuel in it. It is in neutral. We're gonna put the key in. Okay. She did come to life. Fuel gauge is moving up. That's good. Tells you need brake pads, but that's actually just a broken wire. Does this have a clutch bypass? Nope. Come on. Good compression. Let's check for fuel leaks. Guys, are we leaking fuel back here? No, but I don't know that I've heard the pump come on. I'm beginning to wonder if that fuel pump's not turning on. Horn works. That's the thing. That's, come on. Wait, I think I actually heard it that time. Okay, so it is making a noise. All right, let's get this pan off and see what we're working with. Again, this thing was parked potentially. Ooh, this is heavy. Oh, there's a lot of mud under here. It was parked for cruise control or the lack of. But based on what I just found, that might be something else. Oh, okay. One, holy crap, guys. That's a lot. What I'm noticing, let's see, bring you guys in closer. That's your power steering pump, and the belt's not on it. Oh, and that, willing to bet it's parked for power steering pump problem. AC compressor turns, it could be empty, but nice mouse house there. You got some oil leaks. I'll have to clean that cooler a little bit, and then we can reinstall that. But all in all, most of that cleaning on the top side did a good number. That's interesting. So, gotta find a power steering pump. Wonder if I can pull these cooling fans. That'll make the service there a little easier. Some leaks in the front, but the rest of it's looking pretty dry under here. Some type of exhaust. The floor pan looks really nice. For a car that came out of Indiana, not too bad. Here's your rear mounted transmission, which is actually kind of a interesting thing. You know, you got your differential, like this looks like it'd bolt right to an engine if you want to make it rear engined. I'm not claiming to be a Porsche expert, but that looks right out of a Volkswagen. I mean, realistically, the suspension and transmission all kind of just look like it's from a Volkswagen. But everything turns nice and free, does what it's supposed to. That might need a little bit of work. But then our fuel tank, like it lives up here and does this funky little thing, and you have your sump here. I think it comes off of here, and that should be your fuel pump. And oh yeah, I wanted to drain the fuel and then put fresh in and just see if we can get it running and get it warm, and then change the oil and then get into the timing belt. But that is collapsed. Okay, let me set you back up and grab a screwdriver and let's pull that off, because that'll drain fuel and it has to come off for the work. Keep on turning. Listen, I need you to behave mechanically, car, because you need a lot of detail work, if we're being honest. And the more you fight me mechanically, the less time I have to make you pretty. Oh. How is that doing? What the heck? Okay. Other than some oil at the front, it's a pretty dry chassis, which makes me feel pretty good. Alright, what does it look like on top of this? Hello? Where did you go? Mr. Bolt. Bolt, there you are. Okay, so that definitely does appear to be... That is the funniest looking thing. Fuel pump. Wow, okay. Drain hole. Tell you, the one thing that does slightly surprise me is the apparent lack of drain hose. It felt like a very Porsche thing to have. A drain port on the fuel tank. I mean, E30 has that. Yeah, that clamp's knackered. But yeah, this supply hose to the pump is collapsed flat. So it doesn't matter how much gas we drain and put in. Well, good news is, I guess, for draining purposes, there's nothing to drain. It being completely bone dry is a little scary, though. Is there a leak somewhere? One of these days, I'm going to force myself to have the time to clean this, because I hate it. But our fuel pump, let's take a look. So we got it out. That lives in that tray. That is our inlet, and it's a little hard to see, but there is a lot of junk in there. Here is our outlet with all of our discharge hardware removed, and I tried applying power to this pump to see what it would do. All it did was pop and spark. That pump is locked up tighter than Fort Knox. It is not going to be usable, and I'm going to have to get one to replace it, which is perfect because I really wanted to start the car today, and I can't get one until the morning. You know, Christmas deadline, plus I've got to work on about 7 other cars. So going through some of the other hardware, if you're at all familiar with Porsche 944s, you know more than I do. But this threads into the fuel tank. This is your strainer. And aside from a little bit of gunk, it is in really good condition, which is good because this is a week or 2 weeks to get. I don't have that much time before Christmas. So we're going to work with that. We're going to clean that. This is the check valve. Come on, camera. Product showcase mode. This is the check valve that threads into that pump, and then your hard line connects to it. So that part threads into the pump, your hard line connects onto that, and let's just say it should not look like that. It is full of grime and gunk. We're going to need to clean that. Our first hose off. Same thing, just a lot of grime and gunk in there. You can shake and stuff comes out. So this is going to need a lot of cleaning and flushing, which means we're probably going to need fuel filter and a lot of cleaning and flushing, and that before we ever buff it. Because one thing I'd like to do before tearing it down for timing belts and all the other, deferred maintenance and new fluids is start it. 1, so we know it runs, and 2, get the fluids hot so they drain better and take any of the grime out with it. But the main thing that kind of pointed me to, there's a problem. This is the discharge hose that goes from the strainer to your pump. And yes, it's very dirty in there, but the main thing is it is fully twisted and pinched. That's not going to flow very well. This is a $35 to $40 hose from Porsche, and I can't get it in time. So we're going to make one of our own solutions, make sure it's good fuel-safe hose, and we'll make that work. Now, what is pretty positive, once I got that fuel strainer out and checked in the tank hole, there's not a lot. There's a little bit of dust and grime in there. It's not too bad. So we're gonna, and also if you go in real deep, there is a little bit of, kind of tar in there. There's not a lot. And this is where it all would be sitting because of the design of that fuel tank. Everything just falls into the sump there. So all very positive things. I just need to get some stuff that's really hard to get really, really fast. And then we'll do a little bit of cleanup in there and put together a new fuel pump setup, get the new fuel filter in there, and then we'll drop in a battery and see if she cranks up. Let's see how much coolant I can not wear. All of it, preferably. Hey, look, I got like 3 drops on my hands. Every once in a while things work out okay. I need to get the cooling fans out to see if there's a prayer of like rebuilding them, or at least making them work good enough for the Christmas date. And then I don't have to worry about it. I also don't know when I'm gonna stop doing this to myself, just thinking, yeah, this will work perfectly, and then I can film this other video
you know, this day and do this that day, because it never works. And now I don't think I sleep for the next 3 days. Cars are joy, cars are love, but cars are also pain. I love them, they just don't love me back. Huh, you know, I kind of expected a little more coolant than that. It is coolant at least coming out. I have no clue what that was just yet. Alright guys, I gotta come down. You come out. I feel like I need to change the oil in my lift to something thinner for wintertime, because this takes too long. 944 is not a heavy car, but it's also not a light car. What I don't get with this car, like I figured it would like me. We came from the same place. I was born in Stuttgart. But so far, both my Porsches have just been very rude to me. Well, I guess this one's technically not mine. It was gonna be. Once I get a fuel pump and she fires into life, then we get her tore down the rest of the way. Really get into what secrets this thing's hiding. Actually, no, it's just a tune-up then. Tune-up and a timing belt. All its oil. Good thing I have so much table space currently occupied with junk. Well, with them out, we might be able to get these things working. The fans are moving, they're a little snug, but I want to see what happens when I give them direct power. So I just made up these little test leads. These are probably a little too small for continued use, but seeing as how quickly that got warm, this motor could use some lube, but like nothing's violently shaking around. So, I actually think I have it going backwards. Let's try this way. Yeah, be careful around open blades. So this motor potentially works, but needs some lubing and some love, because both of these didn't turn at all initially. So it's getting a little worried about it, but okay, that's the high-speed fan. Again, doesn't hit anything, turns nice and free. This needs a little bit of love, so how are we going to do that? Well, you take your fan blade off, then we can pull the motor assembly off and get to the inside of it. So, lift. All right, let me get some lube in there. Come on, you can do it. Oh, we might be able to pull the whole unit out and work on it out of the cage. It all went crashing down. You can just hear it in there. Just needs a little cleaning and some love. Well, 50% cooling fans are good enough for Christmas, I think. Well, we have a fuel pump now, so we can work on putting all of this back together. I know the last thing we were working on together was the fan motor. Let's just say that didn't go well. All right. Was not able to recover and save it. It just kind of went every way wrong that you possibly could. The bearing came apart. trying to reposition the part that the brushes ride on for the rotor. That got damaged. It was not a good time. So we'll have one cooling fan for now. That is not going to stop us from getting this ready for Christmas. We are not letting it derail us. Also, notice we're changing out the clamp. We're not going to have the big mammoth pump anymore. The new style Bosch 044s, kind of an industry staple for a lot of performance applications. It's not quite 044 size, but it's pretty close to it. But it's a much smaller body pump, which is good, because the other thing that happened is this strainer is destroyed. So we're setting up pre-filters, because I also couldn't get this hose in a timely fashion. We would have probably been in a much better spot overall too, had this day gone better. Don't be whoever that bought the other fuel pump. Don't be that guy. Somebody bought the pump, took pieces out of it, and then returned a pump. Pretty rotten. Yeah, like used the wiring, used everything. It was pretty bad. This was missing. Teflon that. Okay. I'll pick you up in a second. I need to figure out how this all will marry together. You know, sometimes you gotta put something together. I can't get the parts I want. You can kind of see the dangle. I'll actually zip tie that up once we know it works. First time in a long time, old girl's had gas in it. We're gonna put a battery in it, and we're gonna turn the key. And for the sake of Taylor's Christmas surprise, I hope it cranks over. So we got a brand new fuel filter for the system. Since I don't have a fuel strainer anymore, I've got an inline fuel filter. Also, we didn't film putting the fuel pump together. Mostly because I had no clue I was going to make it work, and what I ended up finding is the fitting that came with the new pump was the perfectly drilled size for me to tap it, M10 by 1.0, which is the fitting size of all the original banjo stuff. So that's how I put it together. I don't even know the last time this thing's had like power put to it, let alone even tried to start. You guys watch from back there, yeah? Get the phone going. Alright. Hopefully the battery's got a charge. We've got fuel in it. It is in neutral. We're gonna put the key in. Okay. She did come to life. Fuel gauge is moving up. That's good. It tells you need brake pads, but that's actually just a broken wire. Does this have a clutch bypass? Nope. Come on. Good compression. Let's check for fuel leaks. Guys, are we leaking fuel back here? No, but I don't know that I've heard the pump come on. I'm beginning to wonder if that fuel pump's not turning on. Horn works. That's the thing. Wait, I think I actually heard it that time. Okay, so it is making a noise. Let us... need to turn the phone off for 1 second. I'm going to check for fuel up here. All right, we got the fan going to try to help dissipate all the fuel everywhere. We're gonna check it for spark and see what we got going on there. I think I can see it from here. All right, so we got really good healthy spark there. That snaps good. So next thing will be an annoyed light. Let me find that and bring it over. All right, so here is what I call an annoyed light. Technically, it's a noid light. But I call them annoyed lights because if you're using it, you might be annoyed. That's just 12 volt. It's going to pulse if we're getting injector signal. And we're not. All right. Spark, yes. Injectors, no. That's all DME, I believe. This one says DME is relay 4. That's just a 3-pin relay. Why does it show a bunch of other things? Oh no, it's 5. Duh. So this one. That looks a little closer to what the picture shows. So, this is the one we can do that. And, well, fuel pump's on. Now do we get injectors? We got spark. Air's getting in there. We can make the fuel pump turn on. And why is it? All right, give me a couple seconds, I'll let you know. Figured out our problem. Our new fuel pumps, plus and minus, were backwards on the casing, which I've run into once before on the GTRs long ago, except there were 2 pumps, same brand, out of the box. One was wired backwards and one wasn't. It was the secondary one. So right when the car needed all of its fuel, it was turning off, basically sucking backwards, running one pump backwards. So flipped the polarity, and as I was doing that, one of the studs on the brand new fuel pump broke. And yes, I have giant gorilla hands, but I know not to torque ridiculous on the studs. But here we are. I just ran a self-tapper into it now. This car is kind of frustrated. Everything's going behind schedule. That's how cars are. We do it for the love of cars, but it's also, there's a lot of pain in these cars. But I went ahead and put the DME back in, hoping it works. Charger's going. Second camera's going. You guys are right there. I'm right here. We have our Noid light. Well, we have injector pulse width. Holy crap. That fired right up on 3 cylinders. What do you think, guys? What do you think? Okay, well, let me plug that injector in. We can't run it super long because, again, I don't have a coolant in it. But, old fuel pump was totally locked up. New fuel pump was being weird. Let's start her up again and let it run a little longer. Oh my goodness! Oil pressure came right back up. What a happy sounding engine! It ain't perfect, but she'll come around. got it running now. We don't have both cooling fans. Sometimes, that happens. But it fired into life, surprisingly on 3 cylinders. On 4, it runs great. So now we're going to tackle into the maintenance that we need to address to this thing before handing it back off. Also, wheels are off getting tires mounted right now. Doesn't need a whole lot other than all the fluids and a timing belt service. We are going to go ahead and preemptively do the timing belts. Odds are it's probably okay, but it's one of those things. Taylor is able to do a lot of stuff. He's actually worked at Porsche before. He could probably do this just fine. But, as a pro Formula drifter and all the other things he does, he doesn't have a whole lot of time. So we're going to get the hard, major stuff done. So all he's got to do is everything else. And I'm going to claim this is the hard, major stuff. But either way, we're going to get this airbox pulled out, give us all the room we can. There are actually 2 timing belts on this engine. And then we are going to also pull all the plugs. We're doing new plug wires, new cap, button, all of it. So let's just set up and start tearing everything down. And we'll pick you up as interesting things happen. The very first thing we need to tackle so we can comfortably hand this off to our friend Taylor to give as a surprise Christmas present is the timing belt system. Both belts, all the idlers, and all of the seals hiding behind this front cover, as well as updating it to the modern water pumps. Now we have to update it to the modern water pump because the old ones are discontinued. With the airbox out of the way, we can continue working on pulling these front covers. One thing that's unique about this motor is the distributor cap is driven off the cam gear directly. Also, something that's really cool is you can pull most of the timing covers off of this engine without removing the crank pulley. But because we're doing all the oil seals as well as the water pump, we do need to go ahead and remove this crank pulley. And replacing the oil seals is a really unique process on this engine, as the races that the seals ride on are removable and replaceable too. Over time, a seal can actually cut a groove into the shaft that it seals against, making it so you have to replace the entire shaft. One thing that's pretty ingenious on this Porsche motor is you're able to slide out and replace the surface that the seal rides on. One seal that's commonly forgotten about on these engines is the housing O-rings. That takes just a couple more minutes to pull apart and replace. These were rock hard and no longer sealing anywhere. Part of getting this thing ready to go again was all new spark plugs. And we had one break coming apart, which is normally a very frightening thing. Thankfully, I have really good extractors, and with a little bit of heat, we were able to pull the broken part of the spark plug out and keep this Porsche back on track. You know what you really shouldn't do? The first time you put a car together that, you've read few things on the internet and watched some YouTube videos, put everything together, including the airbox. I put the cooling fans in, and it has coolant. Because I'm confident. I'm also tired and I really hope this works, because if it starts, I'm going to catch a little nap, and then we're going to start detailing it. We are going to get the stickers pulled, clay bar it, and try to get some buffing done. But you guys, let me know how the engine bay looks. Got some coolant in it. It should work. Right? Take it apart, it was running. It runs. Still taps. It still needs to kind of get woken back up. Oh, it just... sounds like it did before. A little bit of a lope every once in a while, and I'm not immediately too worried about that because it's been sitting and the fuel was gross and the injectors need to come back. But in here, like, it actually, it's running pretty smooth. That actually sounds better because before, all the idlers for the timing belts were shot. I'm gonna listen a little bit more. It sounds a tiny bit whiny, which may mean I might need to loosen the belt a little bit. I felt like I did go loose. Like, all the guys, if you don't have the tensioner, they're like, make sure you can turn the water pump by hand, and I could. So we'll let it run. I'll take a look at it. I'll take a nap, and then we'll detail it. Porsches are fun. All right, I'm sleepy. It's time to help the car start onto its news story. So before we go, we're gonna work on heating and pulling the vinyl. Kind of the last little bit of fill on the car. I have no clue how long this stuff's been on there. Looks like the vinyl might just come off in tiny little pieces. Some of you might say, Jared, why are you working through the night detailing? Why do you keep making these impossible deadlines? You do it just for YouTube, don't you? Not quite. See what happens, like if we go back to Try Hard, and you lay out a nice schedule, and if things can stay according to schedule, everything's going to be fine. The problem is, you order in a fuel fitting, and it ends up not being machined right. Get a replacement. And then another part's not quite right, and it snowballs on you. Because believe you me, a couple days before Christmas, pulling all-nighters. I like all of you a lot, but I'd rather be home with the wife and the puppies. All right, let's get started on some of this clay bar stuff. So the point of the clay bar is to lift up, even though we're polishing, we could potentially just try to get right into polish, but I'm also worried that it's, there's too much stuff in the paint and we'll pick it up and scratch real bad. So you get it nice and wet and you run this clay over. And what you're trying to do with it is pick up all the little things embedded in the paint before you hit it with the polisher. Because otherwise, the polisher's gonna swirl it around and scratch it real bad. And if you've got a lot of paint to work with, that's not a problem. But we definitely don't.
As you can see, with a little bit of attention to detail, we are making this paint shine. You can see how dull it is on camera, and eventually we're able to get a little bit of shine back to it. Now, an expert would be able to get a whole lot more shine, but I am not that, so I am being very careful to preserve as much of the paint that's still there as possible, so that way Taylor and Tamarah could eventually hand it over to a pro to really get this paint back to perfect condition. Now, I am not going through and adding any type of treatment or wax on top of it. Again, knowing that they plan to get an expert on it, any extra things I put on top of it is just going to be more work for them later, and we're able to make this paint shine phenomenal based on where it started. Next morning, let's get you updated. I am not a detailer, but I am very happy with the results you're getting. If you saw on the time lapse how much color is actually coming back. Now there's a bunch of underlying kind of swirls and some scratches that an expert might be able to get out. I just know there's not a ton of paint left, and I don't have the talent to do that. But I am able to make this look a whole lot better. Instead of that insane, just chalky hood, we've got light reflecting off of it. We've got some color back in the paint. We've got a couple more panels to go. Then we can throw those brake pads on it, try to polish up the wheels, and then try to get a look on the interior and clean that up just a little bit. Or we take another nap and let Taylor do the interior. We'll see how we're doing. Hey, you can't park there.
Hi.
It feels like I've been doing a cannonball, but I'm not actually gone anywhere.
Yeah, it's just all the no sleep and less of the fun.
I don't know. What do you think?
Definitely less hanging out with your buddies.
Yeah, no, it's been me, myself, and I.
It's red instead of like maroon.
We're down to vacuuming the interior, need to wipe it down and finish cleaning glass. And then I think that's probably not as, you don't have enough time for that. Someone got in a lot of trouble for coming up here.
Yeah, somebody's had to tell some white lies about my intentions and things like that to try and get away 2 hours from home on Christmas weekend.
With family in town.
I'm like, but El Camino has to go home.
Yeah.
I have to help my friend.
So walk around, take a look, tell me what you think. Hopefully you'll like it. Otherwise,
I love it. I love the car. The important thing is that she loves the car. Otherwise, I guess I'll just gain a new car.
Right. And then you'll go back to the list.
Yeah. I mean, it looks awesome.
Like, it's not perfect. There's more work that can be done. There's hazing, but I don't have the skill set. And like we had the conversation, it's better to leave it as good as it is than to try to go further, because burning through suddenly looks a whole lot worse.
Yeah, well, I'll be happy to pay somebody that is their profession. But I would much rather it be 90% good and we can still finish it than what could perceivably be 100% good but never come back from it.
Right, exactly. So
it's got a logo.
Yep.
I love it.
Found the missing pin and glued that on. So that's all back together. You've got your Kenda tires on it, and I can reach in and start it.
Look at that.
Yeah, let's see. Make sure it's in neutral.
Oh, it'll start without the clutch in?
Yeah.
Wow.
German.
Fires right up.
I mean,
Hard to argue with that.
for a car that's been abandoned so much, and it'll be a lot happier once it's run out a little bit more.
Oh, look, you were worried about it being...
Oh, no, it's definitely still there.
Yeah, but it looks pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's better than what I had imagined it might be.
So, we will, I'm going to hurry up, get it cleaned, and then we need to set it up so I can do quick beauties, and then you got to get it on the trailer and haul home, don't you?
Shortly. I have received some questions already.
So, we'll just hurry up, get this outside, do some pretty sunlight shots, and I mean, interior's already looking way better just with a vacuum. So
This stock exhaust?
no,
Oh, I was like, this is aggressive for stock
oh no,
exhaust.
it's headers and like it
It ought to flow.
it revs here. Well, I can't really. You'll find out later. Or rev it a little. Remember, they're sticky door handles. Spicy.
It is. They'll hear her coming.
You're yawning. Come on now.
I'm
We-
tired on behalf of Jared.
We just finished shooting that montage. The light, the sky was cooperating. The car, it's hard to believe that's the same algae-covered, forgotten Porsche that hadn't run in 7 years. And but
Yeah, the car gods cooperated with us in the photo shoot and the montage.
yeah,
But
that half of it, they did not quite cooperate with all the little things getting it running. But it's there. You finished, helped with the last bit of cleaning on the
I
inside.
helped. I helped. I did
Listen,
something.
I did not have that in me.
I'm exhausted, guys, but you know what?
Helping your friend make Christmas memories is worth it. So, speaking of which, we need to get you loaded because
I'm already in trouble.
you
but
were in trouble just for bringing that up. Why he had roadblock, that's a whole story and video we're still working on. You were just helping. You weren't actually getting to play with it. But, man, it looks phenomenal. Yes, it has its flaws, but it is a great, honest car that I think, again, considering she is specifically asked about this car, specifically asked me multiple times what I'm doing with this car, I think you're going to do well.
I think so. It's gone from I just want something fun to I want a sports car to I want a red sports car to I want a Porsche to I want a Porsche 944 to I want Travis Bell's Porsche 944. Why can't I have it? Well, Jared bought it.
Right.
So we talked about it, and we went back and forth and kind of came up with the idea that maybe Tamarah's really kind of the right place
Yeah.
for this to end up.
Because I was thinking Porsche for my wife, but the moment I mentioned that, that's the one she's pointing at. And I'm like, that one can make us a lot of money.
Yeah, this one, now the way that it looks now probably could too.
Yeah, legitimately, the way 944s are going, and this, it has some flaws, but it's a good money car, but I think it's going to a good home.
I think she's going to be over the moon.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited.
I don't even know that this is a questionable choice. This is maybe not the traditional continue to make questionable choices tagline. A questionable choice, getting your wife a nice Christmas present is a great choice. So,
But
thank you.
getting her a questionable old Porsche without her hinting that she wants a questionable old Porsche, that's a questionable choice.
That would very much consider to be a questionable choice.
Tamarah made the questionable choice. We're just facilitating it.
Yeah, that's right. Now she gets to feel the pain that the rest of us feel of like, oh dear, my something has broken.
Yeah.
Please help me.
All right, to Christmas morning.
I'm like, okay.